When I hit 40, became a question as to what I was going to do after that. I had been in one place for a long time, and also I had had a Jerusalem Fellows Fellowship, and sort of the word was that it's designed to make you feel uncomfortable where you are so that you will go look for something else, which they succeeded. And so it was a bit of an adventure for us because we had spent our whole lives before marriage and post-marriage in New York, and so therefore to pick up and leave was rather, a sort of a risk. When we first got here, couldn't sleep because it was too quiet. We were used to the hustle and bustle of urban environment, and so that was a bit of a concern. But and also being away from family was a challenge. But in the end, I think that it had its benefits as well.
You complained that birds were too loud for sleeping, that there was really no sense of...
I also asked where Madison Avenue was. Where's the equivalent of Madison Avenue?
It's 217 miles away.
That's what I have discovered. Part of the draw to religion was what I saw as a concentration on family life. And so that was the overarching goal of my life, to be a participant in a family.
So you were teaching in New York?
Yeah.
And
I wasn't only teaching in New York. I was also the permanent scholar in residence at Kehillat Jeshurun for 11 years, which meant that I was on staff there, but it was a pure teaching kind of position. I had no responsibilities other than giving shiurim. So in that sense, it really developed my idea about being a community educator. I was teaching kids in school. I was teaching their parents and their grandparents also on Shabbat and during the week.
After living in Camp Mill for several years, I decided I wanted to go to Hashkama Minyan. So I started going to Hashkama Minyan, and then I said, gee, I have all this extra time after shul. What should I do? So I wandered into this Gemara shir, and that was the first time I met Rabbi Bieler. Rabbi Bieler was blending in on the same blot with the Gemara, Joni Mitchell, Kafka, and the Beatles, as if they were on the same blot together. It just blew me away. And then on the way home, we started talking, and I used to walk Rabbi Bieler home, and then we talked, gee, wouldn't it be great if we had a shul and you were the rabbi, and the shul had this hashkafa, and we can learn like this? Wouldn't that be wonderful? It would draw a lot of intellectuals, modern Orthodox intellectuals, to the Washington community. That would be wonderful. But then Rabbi Bieler said, that can't happen because I can't be a pulpit rabbi. According to Ketuvah that I have, I put in there that I will not become a pulpit rabbi. But I did not take that to heart. And I decided that this would be just a wonderful opportunity. And it's something that, in addition to something that the community needed. So I went to several people and I asked them, gee, if we can find a property or a place for a new shul with this hashkafa, would you be able to help with the down payment? And I approached several families, and several families agreed. The shul opened up in March of 1990, this March is going to be exactly 25 years. We started first, we wanted to give first right of refusal to Shomrei, so we had a meeting at Shomrei. Unfortunately, Shomrei turned us down, so we became independent.
Because you were an hour and a half late.
Well, yeah, that helped. That's the hand of God played into this.
A lot of my educational ideas, and then by extension, my ideas about a synagogue, were to sort of break the mold, not to do what typically is done.
We looked at the original mission statement, we had decided that we want to do stuff that we know did not work and make it work in our new shul. And when we were looking at the shuls that we grew up in, and what things we didn't like and things we did like. And several of the things were, first of all, we wanted to make sure the youth had a prominent role in the shul.
A strong youth minyan was an idea from the inception of KMS, and saw it as an educational extension of kids experience. Similarly, as far as adults were concerned, this becomes a venue by which we could advance certain Jewish ideas about seriousness of prayer or sophisticated divrei Torah or women's issues or Zionism, etc., certain ideas that adults perhaps would not necessarily be exposed to within the context that they were already involved in.
Another thing we decided was that we would have, the rabbi would only speak once or twice every month and have lay leaders speak the other time. We wanted to get different points of view, different hashkafot, different views depending on profession that they had. They had specific point of views, and we didn't want to differentiate between men and women. And it turned out to be a boon for us and a beautiful type of interaction with the community.
From a philosophical point of view, my research interest in Jewish education was integration of Judaic and general studies, because I think that modern Orthodoxy specifically should be a commitment to be involved in the world. It is important to understand human nature. It's important to understand the general world, even as you think about yourself and think about your own religious commitments. So similarly, with regard to the synagogue, that was a primary concern of mine, and it's been something that I've thought about and written about over my career. I think that that's really an important value, a value once again that is not promoted all that much in many synagogues in my experience, and many day schools in my experience, where people seem to prefer a compartmentalized approach where they focus on one or the other or on both, but keeping it pristinely separate as opposed to looking for overlaps. And I think that that is an important aspect.
So I think one of the things that you have to understand about me is that the way I didn't start out being religious. I came to religion pretty much through science, which is, I understand, probably not the way most people are at religion, but I consider myself like an Avraham Jew. I looked out at the stars and decided that, nature was magnificent, and so I, basically in 10th grade biology and 10th grade math, I was stunned by the order in the world, and it was then that I started seeking more. Being a rabbinic family puts you in contact with a lot of people, and you learn a lot of people's situations, and you know intimately what's going on in other people's lives, and you know how other people are suffering on various levels. You also get to participate in a lot of joy of other people's lives.
So when my husband was sick and he couldn't work anymore, Rabbi Bieler was really special. He was always there for us. He checked in with us. But one of the really special things he did for my husband was they were learning once a week. Every Friday at 9:30 in the morning, the two of them were on the phone. And for Gordon, no matter how sick he was, no matter how he was feeling, he was on that phone ready to go at 9:30, and it really meant so much to me, to Gordon, to have that opportunity that Gordon was able to study. When my husband passed away, Rabbi Bieler continued to study, but then he started studying with at that point, my son, who was 6 years old at the time. You just knew that Rabbi Bieler and Joni were just there for you. If you needed something, you could call them. They were there.
I think in terms of the satisfaction of the job is having been able to be relatively close to a spectrum of people. You get to know them and have relationships with them, and I think that's been very gratifying.
This is really the hardest job in the world, because to be involved with individuals at their most sensitive point, and with diverse individuals with different needs and different considerations, and to do it with equanimity and to do it without great hubbub, And then to see everybody emerge on the other side is really quite, it's quite moving for me as an individual to have known people like this.
Joni and Rabbi Bieler are the real deal. They are true. What you see is what you get. They are there for you. They are warm. They are open. Nothing's phony about them. And they've just been a very special, important part of my family.
Joni and Jack really represent symbols of what KMS should be, both in terms of their intellectual abilities, in terms of their warmth, their humor. When you go up to them to have a conversation, they're very eager and happy to talk to you and make that connection. And I think that's something that, we as KMS members have all been trying to emulate, and we can really learn a lot from them.
What I would say with working with Rabbi Bieler is he never wants us to settle for adequate and is always pushing us to think about how we can do better. And that has helped me learn how to be a very dedicated and diligent volunteer. Rabbi Bieler has been a really big part of that learning for me.
Joni's really served as the sounding board for people whenever there are problems, whenever there are issues, whenever there are challenges. And it's really been a pleasure to have somebody like Joni.
She's an observer of the world. Just a joy to get her take on everything.
I will most definitely miss the rabbi for his honesty and his sincerity and his integrity and his scholarship and his friendship.
Rabbi and Joni, it's Eddie Snyder.
And Ann Winfiner.
We want to thank you so much for your leadership, your friendship, and just being there for all of us.
Thank you for inspiring me with the best of Torah im Derech Eretz.
Thank you for the fond memories I have of our offices being next to each other when we worked at the Hebrew Academy.
Thank you for being my teacher for half of my life now, and counting.
Thank you for answering all of my questions.
For all those great book club discussions we had at your house, and Joni, especially remember some of your amazing pastries.
Joni, you are the sister I never had, a friend to treasure, and you and Jack should be honored every day.
Thank you for all the yummy food and for knowing the answers to all of our lab questions.
Thank you for dealing with me and helping hold my hand through next immune.
Thanks for being an awesome colleague and friend.
Thanks for all your support in lab, knowing where everything is, and especially taking care of this baby.
Thank you for being a great colleague and friend and for remembering my birthday every year with pumpkin cheesecake.
Jack and Joni, thank you for your nourishment, emotional, spiritual, and of course the food itself. Mazel tov, we'll miss you and hope to see you soon.
We wish you both all the best, and if not goodbye, maybe lihitraot. We look forward to ongoing connections and friendship wherever you may be.
Pana Hada, Pana Ziva, Pana Hadar. Out goes the splendor, out goes the glory, out goes the crown.